we think the best approach for most people is just to put 1% or 2%. So I think there's a lot of upside into year end.
Into your like 150 target.
Yeah, 150, maybe 200, even 250 this year.
What?
Bitcoin has done it again. In the last 24 hours, we saw Bitcoin cross new all-time highs, and we see experts calling for much bigger numbers in the next 4 to 5 months. So what's driving this pump? Will it continue? And how high will it go? And what do we do now? Buy, sell, or hold? Let's answer all these questions in this video. This is your Altcoin Buzz News. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cody, and if you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when we drop latest content. Follow us on Twitter, Altcoin Buzz IO, and as always, do not financial advice, and wish the best of luck in your crypto ventures. Alright, good morning guys. It is nice to wake up to see Bitcoin hitting new all-time highs again, and we have altcoins surging as well. Now I'll get to Bitcoin's TA in a little bit later after I cover kind of what's going on. So Bitcoin hit just under $119,000 earlier this morning, and I do think we probably continue higher today. So the Kobayashi later says, Bitcoin ETF IBIT has reached a record $76 billion in assets under management. The total assets have tripled over the last 200 trading days per zero hedge. By comparison, it took the largest gold ETF, GLD, over 15 years to reach the same milestone. IBIT's Bitcoin holdings now also exceed 700,000 for the first time in history. This is 100,000 more than the total holdings of MicroStrategy. Crypto markets are making history. At the same time, the percentage of Bitcoin held by long-term holders has reached a 15-year high, now accounting for 74% of the total supply. And publicly traded K-Wave Media secured $1 billion in capital to buy Bitcoin. Nothing is stopping this train. So this is part of the reason why Bitcoin is finally surging, is we're just seeing all these publicly traded companies adopt a Bitcoin strategy. And the Bitwise CIO Matthew Hogan explains just that.
The bigger piece is just massive, unrelenting demand meeting limited supply. We're seeing companies buying huge amounts of Bitcoin and ETFs purchasing huge amounts of Bitcoin, and there's just not that much Bitcoin to go around. I'll mention in the last 30 days, we've seen Bitcoin ETFs acquire $5.2 billion of Bitcoin. That represents institutional investors making a giant allocation to this space. We see that trend continuing. And with the limited supply of Bitcoin, it's just forcing the price up. I think we're detaching from $100,000, and I think we're going substantially higher from here.
When you say substantially higher, Matt, give me some bogeys to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think once we break the gravity of around $100,000, where we've been trading in and out of for the last 6 months, I think it's sort of anyone's guess where we go. Here at Bitwise, we expect Bitcoin to top $200,000 by the end of the year, which I know sounds like a very large number, but the flows we're seeing from institutional investors and corporations are really significant. They're accelerating, not slowing down. And I think they're going to force that price substantially higher.
And on top of that, the most bullish news, Form 1099-DA was designed to require crypto brokers, including DeFi platforms, to report users' digital asset transactions to the IRS for tax compliance. Now it's gone. So just more of a way that the US is becoming more crypto friendly and just, promoting a crypto environment unlike the last administration. Then we have Alex saying, a final pump ahead. Don't say I didn't warn you. Bitcoin 130K isn't coming. Alt's 10 to 100X phase is on the way. And then we can expect a 2-year bear, in my opinion. He does have a decent point that, this next big pump that we do have coming will most likely, this pump can happen over a course of a couple months, but I do think we'll probably see a big final, blow off top kind of event. Altcoins will also continue higher, but I do expect at some point, either towards the end of this year, maybe early next year, we do have this sell-off, and it is the time that you want to be starting to sell. You can't really make money unless you ever sell. So do make sure that if you are up a bunch of money, you are taking profits, because especially in the bear market, altcoins tend to trend to zero or close to zero. They go down 95, 99% sometimes. So make sure you are selling altcoins. Bitcoin you can hold for the long term if you're okay with it going down maybe 60% in this next bear market. But altcoins, you definitely want to be selling toward the top of the Bitcoin cycle, which could be coming in the next few months. So make sure you are selling. And we also have Merlin the Trader saying, total crypto market cap bull flag confirmed. The breakout is in motion. The next target is $4.5 trillion. This is how full-blown crypto bull run begins. The signal is clear. The money's moving. Are you? So we can see the total market cap heading towards $4.5 trillion. So part of the reason why I believe Bitcoin is going up so much right now is because of the the new debt ceiling that just got raised in the US. So we're pretty much on track to go towards $40 trillion in debt and continue printing, which is not good for the long term, but because of that, it raises Bitcoin's price. The same thing happened during COVID when they started printing stimulus checks. because the interest rates are low, they were printing tons of money. Everyone knew that you have to put money into assets if you want to keep your money. And that's why I believe Bitcoin is going up right now, as the US debt limit has just increased towards $40 trillion. We also have Gel saying, anyway, retest of the pennant held and Bitcoin is taking off. Quite some time to go before this candle closes. We'd love to see it close in price discovery to take away all bear arguments. Target for this pattern remains 115K. So he is targeting 150K on this breakout that we have going on right now. This was yesterday when it was at 111,000. So we're up over 7,000 since then. Hey Americans, we found an exchange that gives you the best of both worlds. Want to trade spot markets on over 400 trading pairs and without KYC? You can. Want to trade perpetual markets on over 150 trading pairs with KYC that accepts Americans and Canadians as well? You can. The only exchange we've seen in the market that lets you do both simple spot trading without KYC and perps trading with KYC that Americans can use is BYDFi. And they have a great new promotion going on right now where you earn more for depositing more money into your BYDFi account. BYDFi has a great new program for new users. So if you don't have an account yet and you've been thinking about getting a new one, now's the time. For smaller traders, deposit up to $1,000 and get up to $200 as a bonus. And for whales, for deposits of $5,000 up to $20,000, you can earn as much as $2,000 in extra cash in your account to trade with. But then it gets even better. If you sign up for a new account, you can join the new Telegram group where BYDFi gives you actionable news and trading signals. It's an exclusive trading signals group just for the Altcoin Buzz community. You get market analysis and news, as well as trading signals specifically for swing trading or scalp trading. So sign up for a BYDFi account today, earn extra cash in your account, and get access to our exclusive trading signals and news group, and deposit now to get your bonus, link down below. And 10x Research writes the quiet Bitcoin signal that triggered $1 billion in crypto liquidations. So they say Bitcoin just hit our July price target of 116K, but what's unfolding beneath the surface is even more critical. A fresh uptrend signal has triggered, catching many traders off guard and prompting the highest liquidation since 2021. ETF inflows are accelerating, funding rates have spiked, and volatility metrics of flashing setups not seen in months. Meanwhile, trend-following funds are stepping in, potentially overpowering more cautious, discretionary players. But here's what most aren't seeing: the structure of the rally, the silent shifts in positioning, and the overlooking signals that point to where Bitcoin might go next. The main arguments: Bitcoin has now reached our July price target of 116K. While we initially anticipated a broader summer consolidation, which we usually thought, summer tends to chop around, our stance turned decisively more bullish over the past 2 weeks as upside positioning remains sparse, creating more conditions for a sharp move higher. Now, historically, similar signals have delivered a median gain of plus 20%, with 6 out of 10 instances producing positive returns. If this pattern holds, Bitcoin could climb as high as 133,000 by September. With steady ETF inflows, a more dovish Fed, and reduced tariff risks, the macro landscape is shifting faster than many realize. And at the same time, I want to show you this Bitcoin quarterly returns chart. So you can see here in Q3, typically the second year of the Bitcoin bull run, which was 2021, we had a 25% gain in Q3. Then in 2017, a similar thing. We had an 80% gain in 2017, and then we had a fall in Q4 with 215%. So 2017 was crazy. Then we can see here back in 2021, 25% and 5%. So we had these big Q3 and Q4, runs for Bitcoin. Right now we're sitting at just about 10% on a Q3 return. So even if we just matched this 2021 return, we could go another 15% higher on Bitcoin in just this quarter alone. Now, to get to the Bitcoin TA that I've been waiting to do, this is what I've been charting out, and I wanted to show you guys a couple different possibilities. So I took an overlay here from our February 2024 breakout, and I overlaid it here to show you kind of what we could see, as well as the 2024 breakout, because there are kind of differences towards these breakouts. Now, Bitcoin historically has most of its gains in just a period of a few days. When it does break out from multi-month consolidations, it usually runs in a period of about 5 to 10 days. It does most of its big gains. Then it consolidates a little bit more, and then it continues to go up a little bit more. But most of its gains happen within a couple days. So I think we are in that phase right now. And you can see here, this is the long leg of the breakout that usually happens. And it doesn't let people, it doesn't let people position because it wants to do most of its gains and then consolidate for a while. And then, that's where everyone kind of gets chopped up, loses a lot of their money and gives back their gains. So if we see a 20% gain from this breakout here at $111,000, that's around $134,000, which is in line with what 10x Research said. Now, if we do what February did, that could take us to around $130,000 at the top, and then we'd chop around a little bit here. Now, this was a little bit different. This was after the election. This is the post-election pump in November. So that's why I want to show both, because this one might be a little bit less realistic because what this was a whole shift in, the whole crypto stance in the US. This was after the back, this is on the back of Donald Trump getting elected. So this one's a little bit more ambitious, but I want to show you the two because maybe it ends up somewhere in the middle here, kind of like this 20% gain is right here. So, February, if that would take us to around 131,000. And if it was like November, it would take us to around 147,000. So these are a couple different possibilities I see going on right now. But what happens is in these next couple days, most of the gains happen in these just straight up candles for a couple days, and that consolidates, continues up a little bit higher, and then that's where it does most of its gain in these days. Now, if you aren't positioned, then here's what you can do. Usually, you want to go to a lower time frame, and if you put on the EMA 13 and the EMA 12 at the same time, it's usually a pretty good way to find trends for pullbacks. Now, you want to go between the 1 hour and the 4 hour. And you can see here, it really respects these trend lines. So you can see here, it came down here around $110,000. It bounced off these EMAs. It's done pretty much the similar thing around here, around 113,000, and it's now holding up a little bit higher. So what you want to do is you want to wait for it to come back and retest these if you want to position for short-term trades, or if you want to, buy a spot or whatever you want to do. So you could look for something like this, where maybe we chop around here, the EMAs come up a little bit more like this, and then you wait for a, pullback around maybe $117,000. You go along with your stops below the prior consolidation right here. Now, I do think, with how Bitcoin is after these, big breakouts, it doesn't want to get people in. So a lot of times you are buying the top here, but it just continues to go higher over the next couple of days. You can do the same thing for altcoins as well. And it's probably a little bit of a better bet to do it for altcoins because Bitcoin is really taking the lead right now. And once Bitcoin then consolidates, that's when altcoins tend to have, tend to play catch up. And so you can see here a lot of the plays that we've been marking out over the past couple of days have played out in like the last week. So you can see here, Ethereum, we wanted to break above 2,800. It did. It's now, if we come back down here, that's a great play around 2,800 if we do a retest. Solana broke back up to this next level of resistance. So we are at this level of resistance. Same thing for XRP. We came straight up to this level here. We are actually breaking through, which is actually very strong. So if we now do a overside, a retest like this, that is very bullish and another possible stance. We have HBAR doing the same thing. We have Ondo doing the same thing, came up to this next level of resistance. Sui doing the same thing. So all these coins, all these altcoins are probably at this zone of resistance right now. And it's just waiting for either Bitcoin to continue higher or have a bit of a pullback. So what that could look like is, for example, on Sui, we've come up into this level of resistance. If we come back down today with maybe a little sell-off on New York Open, or Bitcoin has a slight pullback or anything like that, that's probably one where you want to enter whatever altcoin it is if there is a little bit of a pullback. Likewise, if we manage to just break through here, then you're going to want to wait for a pullback on the upper side of the support, wherever that might be on your altcoin, whether it's Ondo and it's right above here, whether it's XRP and it's above here, whatever it might be. If it's Solana, it's above 165. So you're going to want to look for those different level retests or pullbacks, depending on what Bitcoin does. So that's my game plan for Bitcoin as well as alts today. You're going to want to look for these shallow pullbacks because on these huge breakouts, Bitcoin doesn't like to give you really deep pullbacks because it doesn't want to let people in. So you're going to want to watch Bitcoin, then you're going to want to watch altcoins. You can set up the 13 and the 21 EMA for altcoins as well. Look for lower time frame, positioning on the 1 hour or the 4 hour. And look to get entries on those zones. Now, another thing I want to share, which is kind of crazy, is back in 2019, the CNBC host said it's crazy to follow Tom Lee's advice to invest 1 to 2% of assets in Bitcoin at $5,000. So I shared this clip, but here's a little bit more of the host kind of going crazy.
The best approach for most people is just to put 1% or 2%.
Are you saying that? I get that if you're somebody who's got a lot of assets. I still think it's crazy. But for a retail investor, somebody who's saving for retirement and putting that aside, that seems crazy to me.
Well, it's basically the idea that you can afford to lose 1% if that's 1% of your portfolio.
That's crazy. You might as well throw it away on high fees to an investor, to an average like this. You're taking a flyer on that. You don't know where it's going to go or what's going to happen.
Well, in a way, that's right, Becky. That for the majority of people, it's 1% is like a small risk bet. But Bitcoin makes all of its gains in 10 days in a year.
So that was 2019, and now Bitcoin has done over a 22x from that position. Now, if you listen to Tommy Lee, you'd be up 22x. If you listen to any of the hosts, you probably wouldn't. Now Bitcoin is at over $118,000, and this is where Tommy Lee thinks Bitcoin is going in the next few years.
Bitwise has a great stat. 95% of all Bitcoin's been mined, but 95% of the world doesn't own Bitcoin. So I just think that there's still a huge demand versus supply imbalance, meaning there's a lot more potential buyers of Bitcoin over the next 10 years. And so I think there's a lot of upside into year end.
Into your 150 target.
Yeah, 150,
150,000?
maybe 200, even 250 this year.
What? 150 to 200 to even 250. And what's you don't have a terminal price on that, do you?
Well, it's I think at a minimum it should have the same network value as gold. And if you look at above ground gold, it's probably 23 trillion. So that would be, 1.2 million for Bitcoin. But I think Bitcoin is more valuable than gold. So, Bitcoin could be 2 million, 3 million long term.
So overall, the idea is just patience. And like he said in the first clip, if you're willing to risk 1% of your portfolio on huge upside asymmetric risk, then you are the one who's able to get these kind of crazy returns. Now, is $118,000 a high place to be buying Bitcoin? Yes, it is. But if you think it's going to $2 to $3 million in the next couple of years, then it's probably not a great, not a huge price to be buying it at. I do think, at some point we will have a pullback after we continue higher. So maybe we go towards $130,000, $150,000, and then we pull back towards $120,000. So you kind of have to factor that into your portfolio positioning. If you are a short-term investor and you want to sell all this before, the cycle top, or if you want to hold this for the next couple of years and you just want to DCA Bitcoin over the next 2 to 3 years, hoping to get to $2 to $3 million in the long term. So it's up to you. Now, Bitcoin is looking pretty decent. We're at just 118,000 right now. I do expect us to continue higher. I think over the next couple of days, maybe even on the weekend, we have another couple $1,000 pump as we continue this leg here, which is the breakout of the multi-month level. We've actually been, many months since pretty much we got here around December, around these $100,000 zone. So we've been in this level for many, many months. And I do think we kind of continue higher towards this, at least mid 120s by today, tomorrow, and Sunday as well. So I do think we see much higher prices before any kind of major correction. So that is the video for today, guys. It is a very exciting time. We have a lot of altcoins that are going to be doing catch-ups as well. So a lot of trades to be taken, a lot of positions to maybe you want to sell off some positions, whatever you want to do. I think this is going to be a big next leg between now and the end of the year. I do think we have a lot of exciting times ahead of us. And so that is the video for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on Monday.